welcome to the second episode of the Second Chance podcast with me, Rob, and
me, Viva.
So today we're going to talk about something different. Today we're going to talk about, let me look at it right quick. We got it written down here. How do you respect and validate one another's feelings when the other partner shares and is vulnerable? So please tell me a little bit about what that means to you.
Oh, you just gonna put me on the spot just bright and early, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It means, to me, I would say each party has a right to their own feelings, whatever that may be. It could be, I don't know, a trigger or whatever from a childhood. I mean, just anything. And I would think that if, even in relationships and in friendships or whatever else, if someone comes to the other and say, hey, when you say, or when you do, it makes me feel blah, 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 how should that other person take that, and what should their reaction be? Should they laugh in that person's face?
Okay.
Should they say, well, that doesn't make sense. You shouldn't feel that way.
Okay.
Or should they validate that person's feelings, even if it's opposite of what they think? Because, it's two separate entities coming together as one. So it's still two separate feelings.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right.
The husband and the wife are going to have two. We're all raised differently. So it's two different households coming together as one.
Correct.
So to be able to communicate effectively and say, when this is said, or when this is done, this is how it makes me feel. And for that feeling not to be validated or to be laughed at or shunned upon, that may cause the other person to just shut down altogether. Because now they may not feel safe enough to feel vulnerable anymore. So it's, so that's how you do me when I'm vulnerable with you. So then there's no need for me to be vulnerable with you anymore in that aspect.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense when you say it that way. Transparent moment. So early this week, matter of fact, yesterday. We grew up, like she said, different families, different scenarios. So for me,
Gonna sip my tea.
I have about 10 siblings, all in all. So my wife, on the other hand,
I've had a number of, I grew up in 4 different foster homes.
Right.
And I've always had siblings that I've had to take care of.
Okay.
Always. I've never been an only child.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, she has some knives, right?
Not just the knives.
She has some knives. So this is the particular thing that happened yesterday, though. It was the knives and the pan.
It was the knives, the pan.
What else?
And
knives, pan,
my headset,
and headphones.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it's a
All right. So for me, I guess I look at marriage like, all right, everything that I have is yours, and vice versa. I'm just telling you how I look at things. And so, the beautiful thing about marriage is two people coming together to become one. And so from a spiritual standpoint, the becoming one is automatic. It's instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
But in the physical realm, in the world we live in, you got to work these differences out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking everything is community property once we marry. Now that's me. So I took her knife and I got to cutting up some turkey and some other stuff that I was making as I was meal prepping. She had these pans. I'm like, ooh, these are cute. So I'm gonna use these pans to make my little salmon wrap that I was making. And so I used her pans, and they were cute too. So it's like, okay, because the big pan, I'm like, I don't need a big pan for this little thing. She got this little pan right here. So I did that. And I was walking out the door to go to the gym, and my headphones were dead. So I said, all right, well, I'm just grab hers. So here I am walking out here with these lavender headphones. And I'm like, well.
And I had them lavender for a reason.
Yeah. I got black ones. She got lavender. Hers were charged. So I took them, went on out of here. And so the next day, she was like, hey, I want to talk to you about this. You know what I'm saying? I bought you a set of knives. No, I'm gonna let you tell it. You tell it.
So we're going to back up a little bit more. We're going to back up because you're not going to have these people out in these streets thinking I got an attitude about knives and a pan.
All right, so let's talk about it.
We're going to back up a little bit more. I make sure I am such a giver. And so for my dear husband, for Christmas, it was like, babe, here's your own laptop. So he can leave my iPad alone. Because then my iPad loses the battery, or is no longer charged, or it's just misplaced somewhere and he can't find it. So when I'm ready to work and I'm looking for my things to work my real job, I can't find anything because my dear husband has lost it or broke it or something. So in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I can fix this. We'll have 2 of everything. So here's your laptop. Here are your headphones. Here are 8 iPad chargers for you. Merry Christmas. Here's all of the things. You know what? Here's your own knife set so you don't break my stuff up. Because, you know, he break things and then feel like, oh, well, we can just replace it. No, you're missing the point. We don't have to replace it if we take care of it in the first place.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'm sitting and every time I say, babe, I've bought you all of these things. I'm OCD. I like my stuff in a certain area. All of my things have an area that it needs to be in. So when it's time for me to go to work or do things, I don't have to spend time looking for my stuff. That he already has his own stuff of. That I don't have to be looking for my stuff and it has my day all messed up. I have a system. I don't go on his job and remove any of his clippers. When he's ready to cut somebody's hair, his things are right there laid out on his job. So I only ask for the same thing in return. And so when I brought it to his attention 2 years ago, because we've having this conversation over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
When I brought it to his attention 2 years ago, I said, babe, this is one of the vices for me. This is why I get 2. The first thing he said was,
what did I say? Please?
You act like an only child. He didn't validate what I said. It was you act like an only child, and busted out laughing in my face.
Okay, now, so to my defense, that is what I did. That's the truth. I'm not gonna say I didn't, because I did laugh, because I didn't think it. I'm gonna be honest. At that time, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I didn't think it was that serious. Just to be honest. And so after she expressed to me,
for the 500th time, because we've had this conversation over and over again.
Yeah.
I guess what my concern is family. If my wonderful husband comes to me and say, Viva, when you say XYZ, I don't like it. What do I say?
You say, okay, noted. And
I say, okay, baby, noted. I apologize. It won't happen again. And I make sure I do everything in my power to respect and validate his feelings, regardless of what I think, because it's not about me. It's about his feelings and how it made him feel in that instant. I just ask for the same thing in return. That's all.
That's fair.
It's not about knives.
Yeah.
It's not about materialistic things. And you know that.
Yeah, I know.
So don't be having these people out in the street thinking that I'm having an attitude over some knives and some pans. I could care less about knives and pans. You know what it's about.
All right, so it's more of...
And then he gonna try to throw me under the bus.
But I threw myself on the bus because I was saying...
No, you threw me under the bus first.
Because I said, I use your stuff. I did admit that.
But you ain't going to detail.
Yeah. All right, so I was trying to set it up, y'all. I'm trying to set the story up so y'all can kind of...
He been throwing me under the bus.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
See?
Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But, so, you know, with that being said, so how could I validate? Because, you know, we joke about a lot of things. So when you said that, I didn't really take it. And when you first said it, I was like, I laughed. And I said, man, is that about a knife? And he's like, no, it's not about the knife. It's about, you know, how I feel.
You always tearing up my stuff.
You using my stuff.
And
you
using my
stuff. And stuff like that.
And then it's lost or broken.
And that's like, oh, like, you for real. And so when I realized she was serious, and I said, oh, she for real. Okay. well, let's talk about it then. I said, all right, well, you gotta set it, but see, all right.
You
friend,
said, well, I used 2 of my knives yesterday, so I just decided to use yours
use
today.
yours. Yeah, because it's right there. It's convenient. It's convenient.
Your knives are right there too. They convenient.
Yeah. So it's convenient. So now, because I too have a system, right? And so my system prior to that was I just reach over there. That's where the knives were. Prior to me having a set that she bought me, I would just grab them because those were the closest ones to me. But now I gotta make some adjustments too. I gotta respect how you feel, and actually show you that I care and that it's a safe place for you to continue to express. So for that, I apologize. I do apologize for that, because I sometimes in my joking, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. When you said it yesterday, when I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. And then when I realized you were serious, I'm like, all right, well, let me change my tone. Got it. And I was more apologetic from that point.
I've been saying it for 2 years now.
Yeah.
You've been laughing in my face saying, and my tone has been the same every time.
Yeah, no, because it's not like you said it in an argumentative tone. I think you said it, you said it in a nice tone, so it wasn't like it was
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to
abrasive
yell
or anything.
or no.
So I guess I'll definitely listen more attentively, because I really didn't think it was a big deal until
even when I said it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's over and over, but I don't think it's like it's not like yesterday, today. It'll be a little space between.
What? About a couple of days?
It'd be a little bit of space.
A couple of days. A couple of days, Rob.
It'd be a little bit of space.
A couple of days.
I give it that. That's compromise. So what would you suggest would be a way to validate the other person's feelings, let them know they're being heard? Give me an example of
So an example, you remember when we were dating?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to say something all the time, and I said it in a joking manner.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to me and you said, hey, so listen, your words are real powerful when you say stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't ever want you to feel that kind of way about me. So please don't say that to me anymore. You remember that conversation?
I remember that.
And I said, oh, you know what? Noted. My apologies. I never meant it that way. It won't happen again. I validated your feelings. You told me, although for me it was joking, but for you it wasn't anything to joke about. I validated your feelings. I respected that. I think we had a conversation maybe a week or so afterwards, and I went to say it and I caught myself and I stopped. And I've never said that to you again, because in the back of my mind this is something that's going to trigger something in my husband. My job is to be his teammate and not to hurt him. And so I stopped. It was easy for me to stop. So I guess for me, because that's my mindset, and yeah, we're two totally different people, but I think for me, because that's my mindset, even with friends or anybody else, if they come to me and say, when you said this hurts me, it's automatically in my head, okay, I'm not going to do that again, because I love that person and I value that person's feelings, regardless of how it at that moment. It's not my job to say, oh, well, I was just joking. No, you came to me and said that this is how you feel when I said or did something. My only response should be, you know what? I apologize that made you feel that way, right? I didn't mean it, but I apologize that made you feel that way. But it's also my responsibility to make sure I don't do it again if I care about that person. Okay. So that's my thought process. So when I come to you, I think if I don't know, I'm just gonna speak for myself. Wives, husband, y'all chime in and let me know. And don't be rude, because we ain't against each other. We still a team, so don't come for us. Let me be real clear. So when I come to you and I say, this is how I feel when you say or you do, and you laugh in my face, or you come with a rebuttal, or you acting like a so-and-so, or you just so dramatic or whatever, you now have made me feel like my feelings are not validated and you are my protector. You are my head. So my feelings are not validated by the man whom I'm submissive to.
Okay.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So it ain't about no knives. It ain't about no pan.
Okay.
It's the principle of everything.
Okay.
Like if I'm supposed to be covered by you, how can I be covered if I can't be vulnerable? Because when I'm vulnerable, I'm hearing ha in your face and my feelings are not validated. And you may not mean it that way. But that's how I'm taking it because there's no change and there was a laugh in my face. So how am I supposed to take it?
Okay, you got a valid point there. Well, Okay, so being that you have the background that you have, give me what do you think will be some steps for conflict resolution in a marriage or a relationship, or that we could give the audience as well as even me, because I'm still learning. So
I'm still learning too. I'm still learning too. So it really depends on the individual.
Okay.
I mean, I would say communication is number one. Like that's key. And then really taking the time to hear the other person's heart. We're not going to always agree. We've come from two totally different backgrounds. We're triggered by two totally different things. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're different. What may trigger you may not trigger me, and vice versa.
Right.
But at least to have that listening heart and that compassion, that when your spouse, your partner comes to you and say, okay, I'm being vulnerable right now and this is how I'm feeling, to be able to and even with friends, other than just marriages, you know what I'm saying?
Friends too.
But being able to be gentle and caring with what that person has given you. Because it's hard to be vulnerable out here.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
It is.
So if you can't be vulnerable with the person that you're sharing your life with, or with those people that are in your tribe, then who can you be vulnerable with? I mean, when you think about it now in these streets with all these keyboard bullies, everybody got an opinion now, cancel culture. You can't get your advice from off of there.
No.
So who can you be vulnerable with if you can't be vulnerable with the person you said I do to the day I die? So I would say having an open heart and an open mind concept when it comes to other people and yourself too. That doesn't mean, being able to communicate how you feel, but also listening to that other person and making sure that you're validating them too. Because nobody ever wants to feel unheard.
That's true. That is very true. So I know something that we do, which we haven't probably done. No, because I did ask you last week. Last week I didn't ask you this week. This is a new week. We still in this week. But last week I said, hey, how did I show up for you? This week, and how could I improve? So where did I not show up for you, and where did I show up for you? And we usually try to do that every week. Sometimes we miss, but majority of the time, every week to every other week, we're gonna have a sit down conversation about how did I show up for her, where did I not show up for her, and what could I do better, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's usually the place where we bring up any conflicts that we have had during that week. And so, because now it's days after, if there was any conflict at all, which we really don't have a lot of them, but if there is one, it's already days later. So everybody's in a calm space, everybody's receptive, and usually it can be communicated pretty effectively. So that's something that works for us. Yeah, that's something that I know we can. Yeah. So when it comes to communication styles, then being it based on your background, anybody's background, husband, wife, how they grew up, their personality traits, their communication style, they may be a little louder, they may be a little quieter, so how do you navigate that? Adjusting with these different communication styles. How do you navigate that?
You mean like in a marriage?
Yeah.
How do we navigate?
I think our styles are different.
Our communication style?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Our styles are different.
Yeah.
What's my style?
Yeah. I don't know how to. Okay, so we. Alright, so what I would call her, she's a fighter by nature.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's like an advocate. So
Yeah.
For so many years she's advocated for others
Mm-hmm.
for the larger portion of her life. She's always been to other people's events. So now she's very serious about advocating for herself.
Yeah.
Okay, so behind that, there's a little bit of a fighter that comes out, in that delivery sometimes. And I'd be like, okay, that's just her communicating, or that's, really how she feel, or is that just how she communicating with me? I've always been the peacemaker in most situations, whether it's in my career field, amongst my siblings, amongst family members. I'm usually the one trying to fix things. So I was kind of down here, and sometimes because of my approach, I can sometimes not take what people are saying seriously because I'm so here. So sometimes am I wrong?
So he's a peacekeeper. He is, but there's this side of him, real slick. Like, he's a peacekeeper, and I'm loud, but I'm not gonna yell at him. Let's tell the truth now.
We don't yell at him. We don't do that.
But I am loud. So when he say I'm a fighter, I'm very passionate, but I'm not gonna yell. But on the flip side, I'm passionate. You gonna know exactly what I'm thinking, when I'm thinking it, why I'm thinking it, no matter who you are. That's just what it is. And I'm not gonna do it nasty. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
On the other side, you got this one right here. You know how you have back in the day when you had the big dogs, and the big dogs would go out, like I hear a dog barking. That's what made me say dog.
Yeah.
The big dogs are out there in the yard just roof, 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 roof. And you're like, oh man, that's a big dog. Then there's this quiet dog that's up on the porch, right? And everybody's like, the quiet dog up on the porch, and he eating all the bones up there. So, yeah, he a peacekeeper, but he is slick with his mouth. Real slick. And you know it. You know it. That's why he laughing. He real slick. Some people call it passive aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't know what the term is for it, because he'll say some stuff that'll make your head turn, and he'll do it in a low tone, but you turn like, did he just say that for real? And then he looking at you like, oh, my bad. Ah, you said what you meant.
Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest. You said what you meant.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah, so I don't know about that peace kid. Let me just drink some of this tea. Go on and tell these people the truth. He said, This is Second Chance Podcast. We gonna tell the truth and shame the devil. Go on and tell the truth,
so,
Robert.
All right, so.
I am not letting him get away with that one.
Hey, so, all right, so, so yeah, so let us know in the comments, some of y'all communication styles.
Yeah.
Some suggestions, what works in your relationships, as far as conflict resolution, what works and what does not work, because, we both have figured out what doesn't work. We figured that part out. And we're still figuring out more stuff because, like I said, we're still learning each other. So we know that doesn't work. Let's try a different approach. You know what I'm saying? So in the comments, please share the podcast with everybody else you know. Click and subscribe. And just, get the word out. Send more
questions in.
And send some more questions in, yes. Because even what we're talking about today was a question sent in was like a combination of 2 questions sent in from the previous podcast. And so we're gonna try to. I think it's about 21 questions, and we're gonna try to run through all of those. So, but yeah, if you have anything you want to say before we wrap up,
no, you got this.
Got it.
Uh-huh.
All right, cool. Well, hey, thank you for joining us on the Second Chance podcast, and we look forward to the next episode.